All right, welcome back, everyone. This will be the final video in this series for the Space Invader game project we did in Unity here. The only thing I want to add in this video is some sound effects and some background music to our project to make it a little more interesting. And that's really about it. I'll also include at the completion of this video, I'm going to upload a zip file which will contain all these project files for the Space Invaders project. It's something that if you download the same version of Unity as I did, you could you could actually load it up in your copy of Unity and go through the code and just play around with it and maybe even make it better than what we did, or find some better ways to do the things that I did. So, and I'd be interested in seeing what you do with it if you do that. Anyway, so let's get this started. We'll try to keep this short, and so we'll start on with how to add background music first. That's going to be easy. That's just going to be one file that I'm going to have. I'm not going to have a huge selection of files that the user can change. For this simple project, we're going to have a single background music file that will loop. I started researching some good sources of royalty-free music, and I came across this website called bensound.com. And so, as part of their licensing, in order for us to use it free, I was reading this Creative Commons license, and they have a way that we need to credit them if we're going to use his music for free. I'm assuming it's a guy by the name of Ben Sound. But anyway, so one of the ways is to put a tag in there. It would say music : and the website link, or like this, music, the song title, bensound.com. So that's what I'm going to do. The first thing I'm going to do is copy that title here. We're going to copy that, and we're going to paste that into our Unity project in a, let's see, it's going to be, we're going to add another text, UI text component specifically for this. We're just going to call it Ben Sound Credit. So this is how we've got to do this. And so the text will be right here. Music. Now the song title, if we go back to the browser here, the song, you can see I downloaded a file called Brazil Samba, is the song title. But what I'm going to do is let's go back to that. Back to that. Yeah, Brazil Samba. This is it right here. It's a 4-minute long song. So let's go back to Unity here and change the song title here. The Brazil Samba from bensound.com. And I don't know if this text thing allows me to do a hyperlink, but surely people can type in the web address, www.bensound.com. It's a great resource from royalty free, and if you want to upgrade to a pro license, they have some high quality MP3 music, and I believe they even do some custom work there. So you definitely want to check out bensound.com for your music needs. All right, so we've got that in there. Let's make this pop. Let's first of all, let's go 320 in that, and let's change that color so it stands out. Do like a fuchsia, something that actually, well, it's going to be down here, I think, against the red background. So we probably need to do something a little different. I don't know, maybe that'll look okay like that. Let's change the anchor point. And so, yeah, let's do that. We'll do like 10 up, maybe even 5. Let's see, yeah. And then move that over some. Let's try 250, 200, 175. Where does that put it? 165. Yeah, about 165. All right, so we've got that. Let's just run that real quick. Let's just see, make sure that shows up on the screen. I don't want to start using his music and violate. And yeah, so you can see it down here at the bottom. It's not very big, but it is there. We can increase the font size, no biggie. Let's give it some 20. All right, and then let's put that at 10. Yeah, maybe even 15. See how that looks. It may be getting cut off. We'll have to see. Looks like it is in here. In our game scene. Looks like it's getting cut off. Let's see what it looks like in the real scene. Yeah, it's also getting cut off there, so trust what you see. The game scene is rendering correctly. 195. Oops, 195. All right, so let's just leave it at that. That's good enough. Okay, so we're going to add the music to this the plane. It's our main surface here. We have everything on. Let's just add it to that. So we're going to right click with that selected, the plane. We're going to right click and go to audio, and we need to add an audio source. Output, let's see if you've got audio mixers, which we don't do anything with that. We should be able to literally drag this asset in here. So let's make a folder, a new folder here. Create a folder called music. We'll just call it sound because it'll have both our music files and our clips. We'll just put it in one folder. Okay, so we have a sound folder. So let's go to file system here, downloads, and let's look for that file that we downloaded. I forgot again. It was something. Do y'all see it here anywhere? Just point it out. Let me know. Oh wait, I downloaded it into. That's right. It shows the music and. Free music. Yeah, it's right here. Alright, so let's get that where we can see our project file. Now we should be able to just grab this right here, drop it into our sound. It'll add any file to that folder in your project. Now whether it's a resource it can actually do anything with is another story, but it'll analyze the file and then Send it in there. Alrighty then. What's it doing now? File's not that big. Could be scanning the entire file. Again, I don't know what this tool does in the background. It could be scanning the files to make sure there's no viruses in them or stuff like that. You know what I mean? Who knows? Okay, so it's also putting it in a format that it can use. So if we look, preview that audio clip, so you get, apparently it's a 2-channel soundbite. We should be able to play it right here. There's the play button right here. Yeah, I apologize. That was probably super loud. I was looking for a volume control, which I did not see anywhere. But anyways, it's just a Brazilian samba, just something to play in the background. All right, so let's take that asset. Let's go back to our plane. So we have an audio source here. So it's looking for an audio clip here. So we can just drag this directly in there and drop it in. There it is. And then we have some options here, priority and volume and all that. But we're going to leave everything standard here. And we're just going to readjust the volume down. We'll put it at like 20% to begin with, 0.2. Roughly about 20%. And then save our scene. Let's hit play. And it should automatically launch the game and play that background music. There we go. We have a little background music. Great. I didn't mean to do that. So if you have your own style of music you like, or you're creating your projects, you can easily add music to this Unity project. Just simply dropping in an audio source and selecting the clip you want to use. Come on, we gotta win. We're on our last live here. We can't die. Do this. Samba will make us do it. Play. Okay, so that all resets. The audio resets. Okay. What doesn't reset is the lighting. You notice that the light source doesn't show up, and I think that's because Unity by default has a light source built in when you're doing your game, and it may not, when you reload a scene, it may not respawn that basic directional light by default that shows up in a project. You might have to fix that. Let's see if there's a setting in that which causes it not to reload. Let's see. Yeah, so it's, anyways, we won't fool with that. What I want to do now is I want to look at, actually, this is a directional light. Let's pull this straight up. Let's see if we can move this up under Z. Alright, so let's play that now. I don't know why the light was sitting way down there by the paddle. That may be what the issue is. Initially, it's probably fine. We got some basic ambient light. When he does the scene, the light's down at the base there. I don't know for sure. Whoops. I keep forgetting to move the mouse down. See, it's in the editor and it's still sitting on the play button, so I deactivate the play button. No, that didn't matter, so we'll work that out. We'll figure it out. I have to research that. Nothing to worry about right now. Okay, what I want to do is get a clip though for like a laser type sound clip that we can use when we fire our shot. You know, we want to. So let's yeah, let's see. I haven't really found any source for that yet on free clips. Let's see what we can find though. Royalty free audio clips for classic games. Let's see what it comes up with. Freesound.org, Freesound Collaborative Database of Creative Commons licensed sound for musicians, sound lovers. Have you? Okay, let's see what this is. Freesound.org. Let's open it in a new window, and then we just close it and click on one of the other links. Yeah, we need some really short toss throw. What is this? You know, this might work actually. I like the way that sounds like when we fire our missile. Alright, so how do we get that? We just click on the link maybe? Oh, login to download. Seriously? Gotta create another login. Alright. Username. Johnny Rush. First name. Johnny, last name. Rush. Email. Oh, so I'm going to have to log into a confirmation activation email. The user using an email address. So I already have an account, apparently. Let's just try to log in. I must have found the source a long time ago. Never can remember. Okay, I want to reset your password. Alrighty, I sent that link. Bear with me while I check my email real quick and reset the password. Alright, so I got logged into my email, and I guess they've been part of a new group now. Yahoo's part of Oath, O-A-T-H, so some kind of new tech media company, whatever. They wanted me to go through some things. I just said I'll do it later. Alrighty, so hope it takes the password I'm setting it to. Okay, password has been set, so let's log in. Music Man 1968 was apparently my username. Oops, I didn't want to do that. I just want to. Okay, I'm logged in. Let's go to sounds. Was this the one? No, let's go back. Well, let's see. Now I lost the one I had up there. It's the one I wanted. It was only like a second long or something. You don't need for a sound effect. You don't want anything lengthy. It needs to be like a second, something really short. So now it's not even showing. So let's go to home. Let's do a search on laser and see what comes up. That's 4 seconds. That's too long. Let's see. Let's use this one just to get something. I'm not gonna waste a lot of time. Alright, so we're gonna save this. Save as. Put that in our free music file. It's a WAV file. We'll just call it. Yeah, we'll leave it with what they have. The default. Alright, so let's go back to. Let's go back to Unity and let's search audio. Component.audio game object. The audio source attached to this game object. We only know. Audio clip. A container for audio data. That's what we need. Audio clip. Okay, an audio clip stores the audio file either compressed as OGG verbose or uncompressed. Audio clips are referenced and used by audio sources to play sound. So I imagine when we added the other file, background music, it created an audio clip for us. All right, let's go into Unity. All right, so this file here, let's see, imported object, inspector. Doesn't really tell us the type. It just says it's an imported file. It's a sound file. So let's see if we can create under create. I don't really see anything. Let's see. Might just have to drag that file in there and just create it as a clip like this. That's probably a clip. But I guess I want to shorten the name maybe. We'll see. Okay, let's go here. Drop that in here. Let's move that up to the sound folder. It actually created it in the wrong folder. Okay, so let's see if we can look at while that's doing whatever it's doing there. Let's look at a couple examples. Okay, instantiate. Clones the object original and it's really not showing any kind of example on how to do that. So let's do a quick search. How to add a sound effect to a Unity project. So yeah, this is probably what we need to do. Game object projectile, audio clip, shoot sound, audio source equals awake. So apparently you can set a volume. There's a function called play one shot, which I assume is one instance that doesn't loop. Game object throw this, instantiate projectile transform. That's throwing an object. Let's watch this video. I'm gonna have to watch this real quick just to make sure I understand how it works.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining this afternoon or evening, depending on where you are. Today's session is going to be on sound effects and scripting. And so what we're going to be doing is this is going to be a pretty beginner-friendly session. We're going to be doing some C# scripting to trigger sound effects, and we're also going to cover some of the basic sound components.
All right, so let's skip that. I think I kind of know what we're going to do. Let's see. Get into the scripting side. And player controller. Yeah, this is where we instantiate the missile. So let's add this is going to be a block of code, so we need to put these brackets here. Right before we instantiate the missile. Or maybe we should do it after. I don't know if there's going to be a big delay, but all right, so let's do let's create another public here though. Audio clip. Fire sound. Okay. And then I could just look at really that script that they were showing there. Throw an object. That's when they throw an object, but really what they're doing, they create a public audio clip, shoot sound, throw speed, private audio source. So create a private instance of an audio source. Create a volume range, which is half to 1. The volume goes from 0 to 1, so they're offering a 50% to 1. So I don't know if they use that to start with a loud sound. As you throw something, it goes further away. The audio sound goes away. And what is this awake? Source equals get component audio source. So maybe we just have one instance of an audio source. I'm not sure. Anyways, I might have to just watch that video real quick. I'm hoping
in Unity. I'm using Unity 4.55, so you guys should be able to follow along with that. And what I'll do is I'll just show you quickly the project that I have, and then I'll open up an empty project and we'll begin recreating it. Now, if you want to grab the assets for this projectile, basically shoot to open it up in MonoDevelop. Okay, and so the first thing that we're going to start with is a public variable of the type GameObject. How is the object we're going to instantiate? A matter of preference. I just tend to different in Unity 5, and if you want to check out, we have some content on the site about how the audio effects and the audio signal chain works in Unity 5, which is really, really cool, and I recommend you have a look at. So it's going to be a little bit different actually going forward, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about these. Play on awake, we discussed. Loop just means that the sound is going to repeat to the beginning and play again when it finishes.
Okay, so they apparently have sound effects in Unity 5. That's what I need to be looking at. Let me make sure that I'm in Unity 5. Like I said, I'm 2017.4, but if we go to help, about Unity, actually it's Unity 4.0. I don't know, maybe it's version 4. I'm not sure how to tell the versions. They got a year before it. They changed it up. They were not putting a year thing in not too long ago when they started doing that. Anyways, I know I'm wasting a lot of time here. Let's... Okay, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I probably could play around with this and get it working pretty easy, but let's see. Let's so we got this audio source here, but that's playing our background music. That's our audio clip. Audio mixer group. I guess we need to add an audio mixer to audio. Which I don't see, but I would imagine if we can mix multiple songs, we might need a mixer in there. Yeah, I'm definitely have to watch on the audio how the whole audio flow goes in this stuff. So let's look at some of this really quick.
Alrighty, I am running the Unity Labs project, which you can get for free from the asset store. Just search Unity Space Labs. It's a pretty big download if you start downloading it now. And so what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to give you guys so the session today is about sound effects, and we're going to be looking at the new mixer system in Unity 5 and also the new audio effects that work with that mixer, and we're going to use it with a focus on sound effects. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through this Unity Labs project a little bit and show you
what I'm checking for real quick is to see what version of Unity is 2017.4.01F. Okay, so Unity 5 was actually... Okay, they went 3.4 because I was running a 4 version of 4, so they came up with Unity 5, and now they decided to go with years instead of, because they knew they were quickly probably going to get up to 6, 7, 8, 9. They didn't want to follow that. Just go with the years 2017.1. So that was July of 2017. December 5.6. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure the 2017 is pretty much 5. Renamed. 2017.3.1 was February of 2018, and I've got 4. So, yeah, the Unity 5 system should be in there. So the video I'm watching should apply. Excuse me. Unfortunately, it seems like a pretty lengthy video. Let's just experiment with a few things and just see if we can throw something quick together. We got the music in there. You saw that was done. Let's see if we can add a secondary audio source here. And we're going to add this audio source on I guess what I want to add it on, this would be a good thing. What I want to do is add it to. I wanted to add it to the missile. Have each missile have its own audio source. I mean, theoretically, that's what I want to do. I don't know if that's the recommended way because audio tends to be a complicated thing that uses resources, and sometimes you can't necessarily share the hardware unless you've got some sort of a mixer system going on, or a mixer driver. In this case, it would be a mixer control that works in conjunction with the mixer system, your sound system in your computer. So I might not be able to do that. I may have to use this, or it could cause problems with all the missiles. I don't know. I guess we'll just try it and see what happens. All we can do is crash it, right? Crash and burn. That's all we can do. All right, so we've got to look at our prefabs and our missile. So in order to add something new to this, I'm going to have to pull this out, which instantiates a copy of it, and we're going to add to it audio source. All right, and there's no clip there, so I guess we can drag the clip, from sound, this clip right here, and the volume I don't want really super loud, just for, we'll do about a 20% like we did in the other one. All right, so we have our missile there with sound, audio source, play on awake. Play the sound when the scene loads. No, we don't want to do that. We want to control when. So awake must be when the scene loads. That's considering what we don't want that to happen. It's not going to be a looped thing. We're going to play that when we want it to play. We're going to tell it when to play. Okay, so let's just call this missile audio source. And there's an audio clip. And so, okay, so now let's go back to the code. We started to do something here where I was putting in a, let's see, public, the auto clip fire sound. And I was referencing something here. Sound effects and scripting, it's a lesson. Private audio source. Okay, so we need a audio source. Add another variable, basically. So we'll put these together just so we know they work together. Private audio source. What did they call it in that video? I just don't want to get all these terms. What's the... Again, it don't matter. I could name it anything I want. They're just calling it a source. Clip, they call it the shoot sound. So, actually, instead of the fire sound, let's call it the missile sound. I'm calling the bombs for the enemies. They drop bombs, and the player shoots missiles. So missile sound, and this will be audio source. Just call it source. Right, and looking at the way the script was working, they use the awake, which is basically when that scene is awake, then it will get a reference to the component and store it in source. Don't do anything other than get the reference to it. So it's not going to play at that point. It's just going to load it in memory, have it ready to go. So we want to do that. We could actually literally just copy that and paste it in our project and change it up to reference the variable name that we have. So it's going to be in the awake. That's just going to be in here somewhere. And so source missile is going to be get component audio source, which should pull that from let's see, we've got the audio clip is there, but the audio source. Okay, well that's fine. Maybe that's instantiating here, getting a reference to the component audio source. And let's see, what else? Let's see, an update when they actually fire. And it's passing in this variable called vowel. Float vowels of random range. Okay, so that's what that low and high was. It's at a random, they're doing a random volume range. I don't want to do a random volume range. We're going to set it specifically. That's going to happen right here. So source missile, play one shot, and we called ours missile sound, not shoot sound, with the volume. But we're going to set the volume. We'll set it right here at 20% exact, 0.2 F. It's basically 20% of the volume. So we'll compile that and let's just see what happens. Now it's compiling right now. Actually, if there's any errors with that, with the way we did it, or any references, they'll show down here in the bar, which I don't see anything. Looks like we should be able to go ahead and click play here. Well, it's still, I guess it's still, there we go. So I don't hear the sound. I hear the background music, but I don't hear the sound. So yeah, we do have on the missile, we do have an audio source, and then that's the volume is too low. Maybe not playing awake. Let's go back to our script. Just set that to a 50% on the volume, missile sound. Alright, so it's scaling the by that. So if we already had it at 20%, we're taking 20% of that. Yeah, it's probably next to nothing. Let's set it up to 1. Let's leave the volume then at full like I had at 1, and then we're doing scaling. We're doing a 50% of that. So that's the way that I think the way that setting works. It's a scaling factor of what the current volume is. So what it's set to here in this inspector. Nope, I don't hear anything. I hear nothing, nada. Okay, so the sound actually works. We heard it. So I'm just not doing something right in here. But actually, this audio source is on the missile, and the only script attached to this propel missile. So that's where it needs to happen. I'm in the wrong script. There's not a. Here's what's happening. Let's look at this. We're getting a. We're trying to get this audio source, but there's not an audio source on player controller 2 where that script is. If we look at that's attached to the player. See, player controller 2. There's no audio source component here. That's why I can't pick it up. This needs to be on the missile. The changes need to be in the missile. So let's do this. Let's grab these two right here. So once the missile is instantiated, it'll copy, cut. Those in the propel missile. So we need to add that over here. Yeah, let's make sure the missile, yeah, propel missile is the only script on there. So the script, we're going to try to reference this from here. Alright, so let's go back here. Player controller. Let's move this void awake thing. Copy that out. Cut it out. Cut. Alright, so we have that. So when the missile is launched, it'll play that. Let's see, what is this awake? We need to get more help in this awake. I don't know if awake is where we want to do this, even though that's the way the example was. Let's go back to the Unity scripting, awake. Search on that, UI, behavior, awake, editor window, model behavior, awake. Scriptable object, awake, rigid body. Audio source, play on awake. Set to the audio source automatically start playing on awake. Okay, awake. Okay, awake is called when the script instance is being loaded. So, yeah, in the awake function, when this script instance is loaded, it'll call that so that's fine the way it is. I guess we're gonna have to add the start. Starts. Because when the script starts for the first time, which is on the when a missile is being launched, we need to play that. So we need to copy this code right here. Cut that out of there. Oops. Edit, undo. Control C, and then cut it out. And we'll paste it in here. And go back to once that finishes compiling, we'll turn off that on awake. I want to make sure that on awake thing is not checked. It's not. Okay. For some reason, we get like, oh, I know why we're getting a missile. Still not doing it. I just realized what was going on. My bad. So, yeah, I was adding this missile audio source, and we do want it to play on awake like that. So it'll play when that instance becomes awake, or that instance of the script, the audio source, it'll play it one time. It doesn't loop it. We don't have the loop checked. It'll just play that. So that's going to be created when a missile object is created. So but the problem is this is an instance in our gameplay here scene. This is an instance of my prefab. The prefab is where all the when you click, that's where it's generating the missiles. Well, it's generating from the prefab. I haven't put these changes here with the audio. I haven't applied them back to the prefab. So that's why it wasn't working. So if we hit apply right now, let's check our prefab. See, now when we look at our missile, you see it now has the missile audio source as part of the prefab. I didn't apply those changes back to the prefab, so it's creating just the original instance of the missile without audio at all. So let's make sure, remember to play anyway. So now we can delete this, and that's why that one little bullet would show up right away, because I dropped one into the scene here, and so it would just go. So let's see if that took care of the problem. Okay, so no missile. There we go. The volume is really loud, to be honest with you. Let's readjust some things. So we got that working. Okay, the audio source here. Put that at 15%. And the missile source, let's drop that down to 50% there. Save our game scene. So yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff, you kind of work through this. Um, and this is another reason why I wanted to do this, you know, live like this, you know, showing what you go through. I mean, to be realistic about it, what do you go through to figure something out that you've never done before? Um, this is the kind of stuff you will go through, and stuff won't work, and you really have to think through it. But if you stay with it and double check everything, eventually you'll find what the issue is. And sometimes you don't find it right away, and you have to step away from it. You have to move on, do another part of your project, just come back to it. Got it. 2-1. Look at that. 5,000 macaronis. 5,000 points. Didn't even die once. Still had 3 lives. We're awesome. So that demonstrated how to add some background music and some basic sound effects. It really is important on your sound effects without using a mixer source, software mixer that can mix your sounds and blend them so that it comes out of, you know, your hardware properly. You may wind up having some issues, or audio gets clipped. Like you noticed, if I'd fire real fast under a shield, the audio would get clipped by the next one. It's because I'm not mixing the sounds. And for this type game, it probably necessarily don't matter. But if you really got into a lot of sound effects from different things, you really want to get to using a mixer, an audio mixer in your project, and combine all those sounds together through the channel, the audio channel. There may be a way to do it. The mixer, I think, does that by putting each sound on a different channel. I don't know exactly. I never used a mixer, software mixer, in a project, in a development project. So I just kind of know the general, very vague and very general concept of it. But anyways, that's a simple way to add sounds and music. And there's one other thing I wanted to go over on this before we put this to an end here. And I completely forgot what it was. I know that I did want to show, there was something I wanted to show that in some of the source code and scripting I wrote for the last video. A lot of that obviously wasn't done live. I did it off stream. And I think what I wanted to show, see, the last video I showed where we had our enemies moving around, and we started projecting our missiles. But the bombs, dropping the enemy bombs, that's what I wanted to show. What the code was for that, that's what it was. So let's go back to our Unity project and enemy missile. Actually, what I did for that was real simple. I think I explained that. It was just use a cylinder and sized it down and applied a texture that I created in GIMP. Simple little texture. Yeah, drop enemy missile script. Let's take a look at that. And see, that was very very simple. You know, all it does, we have a speed and a min y. And I may have gone over this again. I'm forgetting what I went over the last video before, not the last one, but the one before that. I may not have shown that, but it's a real simple script. Similar to the missiles that go up, we have a speed, and we have this min y. The min y is at the bottom of your play area. Those are two public variables that can be set right here, speed and min y on the drop enemy script component. So we can control that through the inspector without having to go into the back and forth in the Visual Studio, or mono develop if you're using that in the code. But you know, essentially in the update, which is called once a second, once per frame, multiple times per second, depending on your frame rate. But we're doing something similar like we did with moving the bombs and the enemies. We create a vector 3 movement and store the current position, transform position of which when you just do that, it's referencing the current game object that it's attached to, that this script is attached to, which is the missile object, or the bomb, the enemy missile. And then we readjust the Y component of the transform by the speed. But in this case, we're subtracting because the Y values go from 0 at the origin, goes up our game scene, which goes into a positive Y. We want to go negative, so we're going to be subtracting that speed, which essentially lowers it in the Y-axis, Y direction. And then we store that movement back to the position property of the transform component. And then we do a check. If the movement of the enemy missile is less than or equal to our min y, which is our minimum value, then we destroy that game object. So what we're going to be adding here, though, is in the start. Again, we're going to do very similar. Just say void start. Visual Studio wants to add that private or public. I mean, it's assumed to be private if it's not. But anyways, one thing I guess we need to do, I'd like to add a sound for the enemy bomb, a little bit different than the sound that we have for you know, player missile. So let's go back to this free sound thing, and back up. Maybe we can find a sound that sounds more like a bomb, a bomb being dropped. So let's do a search on that. Let's type bomb. Oops. These are too long. I really want something really short. You're looking at the time, 5 seconds, 12 seconds. Here's when it's 2 seconds. That might bomb arming. No. Bomb small. Here we go. 1 second. Yeah, that could actually work. Yeah, so let's download that. I'm going to make sure it goes into our file. There it is, bomb save. All right. So let's close that website. Let's run in slow anyways. Go back to our project, pop up our folder, click on sound. I want to get that folder open, so we drag it into the right one, and then here's our bomb sound. We'll just drop it in there. So we'll have that. Now, we need to add on the shrink that. Okay, so we've got our prefabs again. We're going to do the same thing. So you have an enemy missile. Our missile has a missile audio source. And so our enemy missile, we're going to have to bring it out into the scene to create an instance so that we can modify it. You can't add some of these things direct to a prefab once you create it. So sometimes you got to bring it back in the scene to manipulate it and send it back if you're adding child components and things like that. At least that's what I've seen so far. All right, so we want to, under audio, we're going to add an audio source. And let's look at what we did with that. We call it missile audio source. This is, we're going to call this enemy. Actually, let's just call it, since we really, I was using missile to begin with, but I wanted to use the term bomb, like they're dropping bombs from the sky. So bomb audio source is what I want to call this. And then, so it has no clip right now, and we want to go to the sound. And the bomb, we want to drag that, drop it in over here by our clip. We want it to play on awake. And so we're going to do something very similar. Okay, so that's our audio source resource component, and we've got the sound. So I think that's all we need to do for that. We can, so I don't forget like I did last time. Yeah, because on the source, that's all we had. We didn't really add anything more to it. Let's drop that back in there. Boom. Now we have the bomb audio source. Great. Let's get rid of this. All right, so now let's get into our scripting. On the missile, we have a propel missile. On the enemy missile, we have a drop enemy missile script. So let's modify that. So we can close some of these other ones, the player controller, game controller, shield controller, spawn enemy. And we're going to just copy some of these things here. So it'll save us some time here. So we get this video closed out. I know y'all are you kind of know what we're going to be doing based on seeing what was already done. So this is almost just a repeat. So you don't necessarily have to stick around for this, but you know, if you want to at least leave a comment if you are watching this video, leave a comment, anything you want to add that could improve the stream. Give me some feedback. I needed some truthful feedback. That's what I need. I mean, it's possible that, you know, kind of hard to organize a live session, but, you know, maybe I could put together an agenda at least, which I've been doing this off the cuff on the fly, as you can see. But maybe I'll put together an agenda, even though I'm doing it live, at least have an agenda to follow. All right, and then in start, we're going to, start is where we play that, Control C. And I think that's it, and I really don't think, let's do this. That play on awake, that's for more automated, like when the scene becomes awake, it would play it, or if that object becomes awake in the scene, it would automatically play it. We wouldn't, I guess we wouldn't have to write any of this code, but so I don't, my gut instinct is that we don't need this play on awake active. The reason it was not working before is because I forgot to copy it out to the prefab. So let's wait till that compiles. It sometimes takes a bit coming out of that. Let's remove the check mark on that because we're actually playing it in the start. We're actually playing the sound ourselves through the script. So we don't need it to play on awake. Alright, so let's do that and let's see what happens. We'll test it real quick. No, I guess that really does. I mean, I guess it does. Need to be on there. Otherwise it don't work. So now I'm questioning this. I need to read, like I said, I'm going to watch through the whole, on my own after this. I'm going to watch that entire Unity 5 audio system and really get into this. So for now, what we're going to be doing is going back to Unity, check these on, play on awake, blah, 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 play on awake. So we should hear the sounds as the bombs start dropping. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to show real quick. Yeah, you see there's multiple bombs coming, but you only hear one sound when there's like 1 or 3. I'm not mixing the sound, so it's over. One object reference overlaps the other. Yeah, the way the bombs work, that's what I wanted to go over is, and show you that code. Initially, I linked the dropping the bomb code to the enemy object, and when they were all spawned, it like they all. And I set it for a random time, but it's like they all were dropping at once, you know, a bomb. So I had to randomize the probability, more or less, of the likelihood that an enemy can drop a bomb, so I wouldn't get the entire army dropping, you know, like every one of them dropping a bomb at the same time. So real quick, just to, and of course you'll have, like I said, I'll upload all this soon. I'll compile it as a zip, and you'll have access to all this to look at it and play around with the code yourself if you have downloaded the same Unity and all that in Visual Studio. So so let's go back to our Unity. Let's look at our scripts that we have, and we have this thing that's moving the enemies. We have an enemy controller, which I started to build and I backed out of that. I really should have had move enemies code, and all that should have been in anything that controls an object or any code that's linked to it. Usually create a script resource that describes what it's for and controller for that object. But you know, so I see the naming, some of the naming that I was kind of non-standard. Let's put it that way for what I did. But okay, spawn bomb. Let's look at that. Okay, so this is it right here, and I'm not going to bring it up, and hopefully you can see that there, although it's probably easier to see in. And so I plug in on the Unity side. Spawn bomb has a. Let's look at our prefabs, our enemy. Okay, there's the, and again, this enemy controller is actually not even being used. I just need to remove this. I don't think there was, but, so we have this enemy object. We have a spawn bomb script, and it takes, has 3 publics. The spawn bomb reference to a transform, which is the spawn location, which has been set up to be basically the center. I left it at the center of the enemy's origin, so just made it easy. I could have moved it down a little bit just below it, but I left it at the default. The bomb prefab, which is the prefab we created for the actual enemy bomb. This is enemy missile, so that's it right there. And then the fire rate, which would be how often it could fire. Like that's actually a timer related to 3 seconds. So every 3 seconds, an enemy has a chance to fire a bomb. Oops, I just yanked my mic out. Let's see if I can fix that. There we go. Hopefully that's back. Yeah, so every 3 seconds they have a chance to, fire another bomb. And that's what that next fire is. So initially, next fire is set to 0, and or the fire rate is set to 3 outside, and next fire would be the next time they can fire. Initially, it's set to 0. And this update function again, keep in mind, update is called once a frame. This is happening a lot of times per second. And all this code does is check to make sure the bomb prefab exists. It's not empty. Our reference here for the bomb prefab. And then it checks. So as long as that's exists, the bomb prefab exists, and time.time gives us the current time that's elapsed. Well, as long as it's greater than next fire, which initially next fire is set at 0, so any time is going to be greater than that. That makes sure that it's immediately there's a bomb that could be released. And so it jumps in here and does this code here. Now the first line stores a new value for next fire. So it was 0. It's now going to store in next fire the current time.time, plus it's going to add our fire rate of 3 seconds, which is our 3-second delay for the next fire. So the current time plus 3 seconds in our example, and fire rate, of course, can be adjusted. That's when I can fire the next fire, which will be checked on the next frame. It'll be checking if time.time is greater than next fire. Well, it won't be until time.time elapses 3 seconds. Then it will exceed or be equal to, but hopefully exceed shortly thereafter that value. So that's when it can potentially fire another bomb or drop another bomb. Now, the way the bomb works is I use this random.range, which is a great function that returns back a number within the range you specify. So I specified between 0 and 18, return back some kind of number between 0 and 18. That gives us a total of 19 actually possibilities. 0 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 19 possibilities. If a number 9 is returned, and only if number 9 is returned during that frame, and the condition is met, the 3 seconds elapsed, will it instantiate a new bomb and drop that? So, so you see that's kind of how I controlled it. I had to play around with the numbers. When I initially had it 0 to 9 as the range, so and had it checking for a 5 was returned. Well, I had a bunch of bombs coming. The rate was so fast. I mean, I couldn't even really move my controller around, and I could show you that if we play around with these numbers. Set this to 5, the midway. You have to give it a second to compile. You'll see them bombs dropping down a lot quicker. So quick that they seem like they're overlapping. Yeah, you can say the frequency is not so bad, but it's definitely making it more challenging. So you get the picture. I know the audio seems to be super loud. So let me readjust that volume. Oh, what? Yeah, we didn't drop the bomb down. Let's drop it down there. What's that at? The missile. Yeah, I want to drop that down too. So when I save the project, it'll be around 3. 0.30. Yeah, so that's, you see you can adjust the frequency of the bombs just by modifying that code, and again, it was in the spawn bomb script. You can play around with some numbers here. The range, obviously, make the range greater. And I was only allowing 5. I could have did a range 0, 1, and 50% chance they were dropping. I could have did 0, 1, or 1. Well, that wouldn't even work, because then and then just pick 1. The frequency would be too much. You have to play around with it. But the range numbers I could have set here as publics, and that probably would have been a good idea. And then also the matching number that we want to use. All those could have been set as public so that they could be then defined down here if we're looking at our prefab or enemy missile. And the drop enemy missile script, yeah, we could have had those additional things over here that would have yeah, spawn bomb. Okay, it's over here. It would have been under fire rate. We would have 3 additional ones, and that might be a good place to set it. Actually, let me just make that change real quick. So we're going to add a public int. We'll call it min range. Yeah, min range, comma, max range. If you have variables that are declared of the same type, like they're both ints, you can do a comma and put them on the same line. Same with this other one. And match value. We'll call it match value. Let's do that. So the range, this here will be min range, max range, match value. That makes more sense. So now you really don't even have to go in the script at that point. When we're out here at Unity, give it a chance to compile, you'll see those 3 things pop up here. Again, if you have a faster system, you might see it a whole lot quicker than I would. There should be popping up. I just seen my mouse kind of flicker flash. There we go. So the minimum range is, we'll do a, leave it at 0, and then the max range, I'm going to just say, heck, let's just make that 1, 10, and 5. I mean, it actually wasn't too bad, but it does add a little more intensity to the game. Save those like that. Save the game scene. Okay, yeah, so that, I guess that wraps it up. I don't think there's anything else I want to cover. Like I said, I'm going to review the Unity 5 audio system, some of the videos on that, and see how that, comes about and what the changes are, and how, obviously, what I'm hoping to gain from that is that I'll learn about the mixer and how to mix sound sources, so that when your game is playing, you're going to hear all those sounds, including ambient sounds. If you're in an open world type game you're building and you want to have all these ambient sounds, you don't want one sound getting cut off because you won't having to play another one for like a bird chirping, or the wind blowing, or trees rustling, or water making some noise, and you want all that to blend in and play through the sound system that your users have. So anyways, that's what I'm working on next, just to watch some videos on that, and maybe it'll help give me some insight on how to make all that work. and the next project will be a little bit more polished and maybe a little, higher level of creativity in there, and just make it a better game all around. Don't know exactly what I'm going to work on next. I did say wanted to fool around with the 2D game kit, but I don't know. Kind of digging this 3D stuff. You know, but I don't know. I think we need to do one 2D platformer type game or side scroller. I just don't know exactly what. If I can come up with a good idea for a game, because I think I want this to be maybe an original as opposed to keep cloning classics. I learned a lot from this, and I hope you did too. But sometimes you learn things from original games as well. And also, with an original game, you can put it out there and maybe make some money off it. Again, remember with Unity, this free edition, you can still make up to 100K a year. So, yeah, it wouldn't be bad to make extra 100K a year playing around with the free version of Unity. So let's call it that. We'll end the video here. I appreciate y'all watching. Again, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Can't even say it. YouTube channel, and comments are appreciated. Be honest. If you got a question, ask it. I'll definitely respond. I'll be checking those. So hope to see you on the next project. If you have ideas for the next project, like I said, I'd like to do a 2D side scroller type game. We're going to be using sprites, sprite animation, tile sets probably. Those are some things we need to look into. So check back and post some ideas on what you want to see. Maybe we can create something together. If you got some talents that I need, maybe you're an artist. Maybe do some original artwork, or you're a music guy. You can create some cool sound effects and original music. I'd love to collaborate a little bit. If there's anyone out there that's looking to do something, just that's starting out like I am, but maybe you have some talents that you want to put to good use, just hit me up, send me a comment. Appreciate it. I'm still learning about YouTube communication other than comments and things like that. I don't know anything about if you can send a direct message to a YouTube user, and I need to look into all that. So until then, y'all take care.